Some people think they have social anxiety, but what they are really afraid of is making mistakes in front of others, saying the wrong things, doing something awkward, being corrected in public. The fear is so intense that avoiding people altogether feels safer. But here's the thing, that fear of messing up doesn't just show up in social situations. Have you ever felt your heart race when someone points out something you did wrong? That instant panic, like you are about to be punished? Maybe your mind goes blank, or you feel this overwhelming shame that makes you want to disappear. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and more importantly, there's a real reason why this happens. Here's what's actually going on in your brain. If you grew up in an environment where mistakes meant punishment, whether that was physical discipline, harsh criticism, or emotional withdrawal, your brain learned to code making a mistake as being in danger. It's not dramatic. It's just how our nervous system works. Your brain literally treats criticism the way it would treat a threat, triggering that fight or flight response. Racing heart, shallow breathing, mental fog. You're not weak for feeling this way. Your body is doing exactly what it was trained to do. So what do you do when that panic hits? First, you need to calm your nervous system before you can think clearly. Try this breathing pattern. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 6 seconds. That longer exhaling actually signals your brain that you're safe. Do this 4 times. It sounds simple, but it works because it interrupts that panic response. Another powerful tool is naming what you're feeling. Just say it quietly to yourself. I'm feeling afraid right now, or I'm feeling shame. When you name an emotion, you create distance from it. It stops being this overwhelming force and becomes something you can observe and work with. And here's a practical one. Buy yourself time. When someone criticizes you, you don't have to respond immediately. Say something like, I need a moment to think about this. I'll get back to you in just a second. Those 30 seconds can be the difference between a panic response and a thoughtful reply. Now let's talk about language, because the words we use actually matter. Stop calling things my fault and start being more specific. Instead, break it down. What actually happened? What part was within my control? What do I need to fix? When you say this is a mistake I made instead of I'm a failure, you are separating the action from your identity. You can even use more neutral words. Call it a gap, an oversight, something to improve, or even a system failure. These phrases are less loaded with shame and help you stay in problem-solving mode. When you do make a mistake, having a framework helps tremendously. Start by acknowledging what happened without self-flagellation. Here's the situation that occurred. Then assess the impact, who's affected and how seriously. Next, propose your fix. Here's what I'm going to do immediately. And here's my plan to prevent this going forward. This approach does something powerful. It transforms a mistake from a judgment about who you are into a problem that has solutions. At work, this might sound like, thanks for catching that. Here are the 3 steps I'm taking. I'll correct the immediate issue today. I'll review the process by end of week. And I'll implement a checkpoint to catch this earlier next time. Notice how this keeps you in control and focused on action rather than drowning in shame. With family, it's trickier because there's more emotional history. You might say, I hear that you're disappointed. I take responsibility for my part. But when this becomes about blame, it makes it harder for me to hear you. Can we focus on how to move forward? It's gentle, but it sets a boundary. Over time, you need to rewire these deeply ingrained patterns. One effective method is cognitive restructuring. When you catch yourself thinking I messed up, therefore I am worthless, pause and ask, is that actually true? What's the evidence? What would I tell a friend in this situation? Then replace it with something more balanced. I made an error, which I can fix. This doesn't define my entire value. You can also practice what's called graded exposure, intentionally putting yourself in low-stakes situations where you might receive feedback. Ask a trusted friend for their opinion on something small. Let yourself experience being corrected without catastrophe following. Your brain needs new data to learn that criticism doesn't equal danger. And please, practice self-compassion. Every single person makes mistakes. It's not a flaw in your character, it's part of being human. Try writing yourself one kind sentence each day. Making mistakes is how I learn. I'm allowed to be imperfect. If your fear is rooted in actual abuse or severe punishment, this might go deeper than everyday anxiety. That level of fear can be trauma, and it deserves professional support. Therapies like trauma-focused CBT or EMDR can help process those experiences so they stop controlling your present. There's no shame in needing help for this. In fact, seeking it is one of the bravest things you can do. Here's what I want you to remember: your fear is real and it makes sense given your history. But you are not that child who needed to be perfect to stay safe. Mistakes are information, not verdicts. They tell you where to adjust, not whether you're worthy of existing. The fact that you're here, learning about this, trying to change that itself is growth. You are already doing the work. Be patient with yourself. This fear didn't develop overnight, and it won't disappear overnight. But with practice, you can learn to hear criticism without your whole world collapsing. You can learn to fix things without hating yourself. And eventually, you might even see mistakes for what they really are: just part of learning, part of living, part of being beautifully, imperfectly human.